I was very excited watching these shots from bed last night. I mean, webcams are a wonderful thing, aren't they? Watching live footage of a volcano erupting in Iceland from your bedroom. How excited were you?
Well, it just goes to show you this is a triumph of monitoring. I mean, Iceland is renowned for being very well monitored in terms of its volcanic eruptions. And the very fact that we know the eruption happened at 17 minutes past 10 last night is testament to how well it's been monitored.
We anticipated it would happen. How quickly do you go from knowing this is imminent, like it has been for a few weeks, to knowing actually this is happening now? Do you sort of have to see it happening first of all, or did you get a bit of a warning?
You can kind of see that there's obviously been a lot of activity in the subsurface. So the volcanic plumbing system is quite complicated. As magma moves its way up through the crust, it causes minor earthquakes. And in fact, the distribution of minor earthquakes forms a much longer line than the actual fissure eruption that we see today. So that's why the authorities had to evacuate towns like Grundavik in the south. And they were also concerned about the power station and the Blue Lagoon resort, which are also nearby. So there's a certain level of predictability if you can monitor them, but the lava is not going to always pop up exactly where you expect it to.
Now we've seen it actually erupt. What happens now? Does it stay at this level, or does it start to slightly ebb? How long will it continue?
Well, that's a very good question, because I mean, how long is a piece of string? These eruptions can often last for several days, sometimes months, and in the most extreme examples, several months. Now, one of the good things is that the actual place that the magma has come out to the surface as the lava eruptions is actually about 3 kilometers, a little bit more north of Grundavik, and it's over what we know as the kind of topographic watershed. So lava flows very much like a river to the low areas, and so at the moment there's no imminent danger to the infrastructure locally.
But how long will this lava continue to flow for?
Well, this is the big question. The initial eruption was in a fissure system, a big line that was about 4 kilometers long. But relatively soon after that initial sort of burst, if you will, of activity, it started to localize into several vents. Now, that's fairly common for these types of fissure eruptions. The key thing now is monitoring it, making sure that it's contained within a certain topographical area so it doesn't pose a threat to any of the infrastructure. And, it could last for several days, several months even.
Wow, several months. That's quite disruptive, especially for the people who are living in that nearby town who've been evacuated. Now, you talked about infrastructure damage. They've taken steps, haven't they, in the area to try and minimise how close the lava can get to houses and homes. What have they been doing?
Yes, I mean, in many ways, the last 4 eruptions that have happened, we've been quite lucky because they've been occurring away from major infrastructure and have kind of became sort of tourist eruptions for people to go and get spectacular images from. At the moment, this is pretty much the case here. They have taken precautions at the close to the Blue Lagoon and to the power station, where they put up sort of barriers and so on to try and deflect any lavas if they made it there. But at the moment, the eruptions are still a significant distance away from there. So fingers crossed, if it stays like this, it will just be one of nature's spectacular things to observe.
I mean, in terms of a managed eruption, it's been quite textbook, hasn't it? Touch wood, nobody has been injured, nobody has died, and most of the people living in the area have managed to preserve their property.
Well, this is very much a factor of 2 things. The fact that the volcano is very well monitored, but also that the type of eruption we're seeing is what we call a fissure eruption with lava flows. It's not an explosive eruption that can cause much more damage. Now, lava flows move relatively slowly. Humans can usually get away from them, and particularly if they're evacuated. But let's say the systematics of the volcanic system change, then any lava flows going into roads or buildings will damage them. So there's still that threat, although at the moment that seems to be somewhat minimal.